Hey guys, I'm here to talk today about cleaning a stall with sand as a base and shavings. This stall has fine shavings, so here we go. Okay, so first thing I do is I go to the top layer and I just take out any poop that I see. So my technique for scooping is I get like a little bit and I just bump it like this. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it works really well for me. Just a little tiny bit and then bump. Just a little tiny bit and then bump. So I'm going to do that throughout the whole stall. I want to make a little note here. When I'm grabbing the poop, if it's like one or two little pieces, if you use the corner of the pitchfork, it makes it a lot easier to pick just that up and not a bunch of shavings. The idea is to obviously move faster, but also to waste less shavings and sand if that's the case, because shavings are expensive. Also, I'm not digging deep. When I go to pick it up, like I'm just getting that top layer, bumping, 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 and dump. I don't have to fill up my whole pitchfork every time because sometimes you'll get to the point where there's too much poop on the pitchfork, and when you bump, everything just falls off. So here I go, the corner. Using that corner of the pitchfork really helps when you have separate little pieces. Once I have all the pieces off of the top that are visible, I'm going to start in like one corner and move the top layer. I'm going to turn my pitchfork upside down like so and just move the top layer and pick up all the little pieces. And when you do that, when you throw those shavings, all the poop should come to the top, so it'll be easy to pick up, right? I like to do this, in an orderly way, going from one area of the stall and around gradually so that I know where I've been. Right, so I'm using my corner. Okay. So again, I'm going to come over here, pick some up. And this way you're getting stuff that's underneath. You don't want to leave stuff like poop underneath because eventually it will build up over time. It's bad for the horse's feed and it'll just create more work for you later. So the more efficient you are, the less you have to work every day in the long run. So see, I just moved that this way and a whole bunch of poop came up to the top. So I'm going to pick all that up. And I will do that and I'll be right back. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten out the stall. Okay. You want your stall flat so the horse can be comfortable. You don't want him with one foot like in a deep hole and then the other foot up because that will over time put stress on their legs. Okay, this one's done. So it didn't need shaving. He's got enough shavings in here, a little good layer of cushion. And every time I clean a stall, I check the waters. Are they full? Are they clean? If they have an automatic waterer, I will swish that out with my hand, make sure there's nothing gross in there, and just make sure everything's safe in here, like there's no board sticking out or something like that. I also want to make a note that when I'm cleaning any stall, but especially sand stalls, I always bring a metal rake like this with me. And that is because if you continuously rake the sand and a bunch of shavings with a pitchfork, your pitchfork's going to break and die. So, and this just makes your life a lot easier. It works faster. It's less effort. Another note about sand stalls is that sometimes the horses will pee in one spot and it'll become very wet. And you really want to make sure you're filling, like if you have to dig the top layer of that off and then swoosh some sand from the side of it on top, that's best. You don't want to dig a huge hole because those holes will become permanent because the sand becomes tamped down and that hole will just keep running itself out every time. So you always want to refill it and make sure that you're not digging too much of a hole. Another thing to keep in mind when you're cleaning sand stalls, these ones have shavings, so it's not as bad, but the sand will tend to mound up in certain places, and like on a daily basis you want to flatten out those mounds and move them around the stall, so because when they sit there the horse steps on it and it tamps it down and now you have a mound that's like a rock, hard as a rock, and you can't fix that. This is what your wheelbarrow should look like. There's a little bit of shavings in there, but it's mostly poop, right? So you don't have to carry all that heavy stuff. You don't have to make as much trips back and forth to the manure pile, and you save money on shavings.